Germany is learning the lesson that only Muslim immigrants can teach them. Nearly 1 in 6 young American males were either jobless or incarcerated in 2014. And Pat Buchanan asks, who made Paul Ryan the conscience of conservatism? My name's Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr and in the book, Riell Truth Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, let's talk about Hillary Clinton. Here we go.
What, like with a cloth or something? No, well, no. She didn't just delete tens of thousands of those emails. She wiped the server clean. The server will remain private. I've been the most transparent public official in modern times, as far as I know.
Is this how you do it? Roping off the press and their questions from even talking to you at a parade?
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Nothing that was sent at the time or received was secret.
Her defense? They weren't marked classified. They couldn't be marked classified because by not using government servers, she actually prevented the government from reviewing her emails. It is a federal crime to negligently handle classified information under 18 U.S.C. 1924. It is a federal Class A felony under 18 U.S.C. 798. She's committed a Class A misdemeanor under 18 U.S.C. 1924.
If there's a connection between Cairo and Benghazi, she said this: there's no connection between the two. Your experts knew the truth. Your spokesperson knew the truth. Greg Hicks knew the truth. But what troubles me more is I think you knew the truth. You tell the American people one thing, you tell your family an entirely different story.
When she certified under oath, quote, under penalty of perjury to a federal judge, that she had surrendered all of her emails to the State Department. In fact, she had not.
My verdict, based on the evidence, is guilty. What's yours?
My friends, normally I like to open the show with news, but telling you that Hillary Clinton is a lying, inept pig who has damaged our national security, who lies almost every time she opens her mouth, who is phony and fake, that would not be news, and so I wouldn't even mention it on the news segment, and I'm glad I didn't. But anyway, it's Riell Truth. And we're going to give you a lot of action in this next hour. Stay tuned. I will be here.
Palin, who was on the presidential ticket in 2008. She joins us now. Governor Palin, thanks so much for joining us.
647. Most people don't even know that the courts have already ruled. Once money is deposited into the bank owns the money, and the depositor is merely an unsecured creditor of the bank. Which means if the bank goes under, you get paid last. After the financial crisis, instead of breaking up too big to fail, the government and the Federal Reserve created Dodd-Frank and made too big to fail banks even bigger, while putting your deposits more at risk. I'm Joe Jakeman, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. To learn more, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Alright guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. It is Tuesday. Lots going on. Primary day today. Donald Trump is running unopposed. Well, unopposed by everybody except the leaders of the Republican Party. And here's someone who's got a problem with that. Former vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin, former governor of Alaska, saying that Paul Ryan's career is over. From her mouth to God's ear. Let's listen. This comes from CNN.
One of the earliest Trump loyalists, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, who was on the presidential ticket in 2008. She joins us now. Governor Palin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jake.
So, Governor, as you know, Speaker Ryan told me on Thursday that he is not ready to support Donald Trump. Now, one of Trump's spokespeople told CNN that if Ryan does not back Trump, he should not be Speaker of the House. What do you think?
I think Paul Ryan is soon to be cantored as an Eric Cantor. His political career is over, but for a miracle, because he has so disrespected the will of the people. And as the leader of the GOP, the convention, certainly he is to remain neutral, and for him to already come out and say who he will not support was not a wise decision of his. I think why Paul Ryan is doing this, Jake, is it kind of screws his chances for the 2020 presidential bid that he's gunning for. If the GOP were to win now, that wouldn't bode well for his chances in 2020, and that's what he's shooting for. So a lot of people with their never Trump or not right now Trump mantra going on, they have their different reasons. I think that one is Paul Ryan's reason.
Well, specifically, when you talk about him being Eric Cantor, Eric Cantor was the House Majority Leader who was challenged in the primary by a conservative candidate who got a lot of grassroots support, and that was a big surprise. Paul Ryan is facing a challenge in the Republican primary in Wisconsin. The primary is coming up. It's August 9th. The candidate is, I believe his name is Paul Nehlen. Are you planning to support his challenger?
Well, that's a good question. As I haven't even got to call him and tell him that I'm supporting him. But yes, I will do whatever I can for Paul Nehlen. This man is a hard-working guy, so in touch with the people. Paul Ryan and his ilk, their problem is they have become so disconnected from the people whom they are elected to represent, as evidenced by Paul Ryan's refusal to support the GOP frontrunner that we just said he's our man. And what Paul Ryan and his ilk, again, their problem is they feel so threatened at this point that their power, their prestige, their purse will be adversely affected by the change that is coming with Trump and with someone like Paul Nehlen, that they're not thinking straight right now.
Well, to be fair to Speaker Ryan, what he told me was he was very concerned about the tone that Mr. Trump has taken, very concerned about some of the things Mr. Trump has said about a temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States, about deporting 11 to 12 million undocumented immigrants in this country, things along those lines, comments about women, comments about Ted Cruz's father supposedly meeting Lee Harvey Oswald. That's what he said he was concerned about. You don't believe him,
right? And no, those concerns are, relatively speaking, Jake, they're superficial, talking about tone and certain verbiage that is chosen over what perhaps Paul Ryan or somebody would have chosen to articulate. Who cares? We care. The people of America care about getting things done, finally, taking our government back and putting it on our side. It's all about we the people, and we're rising up, fed up with people who have screwed the American people by breaking their campaign promises. We worked so hard to get Paul Ryan back in there, and so many other quote-unquote conservatives, and look what they have done.
What they've done is shipwreck the Republican Party, because Republicans have not helped America. They are the same sleazy, disgusting, slimy politicians that everybody now hates openly because Donald Trump has thrown open that door and given us an alternative. Item from the Telegraph. A German man has been arrested after several people were stabbed at a train station near Munich early Tuesday. One victim died in the hospital, 3 other people were wounded. The German authorities say they do not believe the attack was linked to Islamic terrorism. Stop! Stop. All right, guys, listen to me. I got a little bit of intelligence to share today. Haven't got much, but I got a little. The guy was a Muslim. He screamed, Allahu Akbar. He screamed something like, death to the infidels. But I don't want you to think this has anything to do with Islamic extremism. Who would think that? See, authorities in Europe are just like authorities in America. They will lie to your face and tell you things that are obviously false because it serves them. And because they think we're stupid. Unbelievable. You know, when I was watching this on TV before, they said the first thing they said was this guy, the stabber, this Muslim who attacked people in Germany, has not been linked to any extremist organization. Well, that's a lie. His extremist organization is Islam. He's a Muslim. He's a member of a 1,400-year-old Islamic extremist organization. The media knows this. They won't tell us that because they want to control us. They want us to lead us away from the obvious truth. Now, speaking about being led away from the obvious truth, people in Germany, I think, are being steered toward the obvious truth. They were stupid enough, like many people in Europe, to throw open their borders and say to the Muslims in the Middle East, come on in, guys, the water's fine. You think they enjoy what's come from that? You think they're having a good time? There are groups gathering all over Germany, holding anti-Muslim rallies. They want no Muslims on German soil. Well, I've said before, I don't really have very much in the way of sympathy for Germans. But let's learn a lesson here in America. What does the future hold? Well, we know because we see it being played out in Germany. Hundreds of thousands, millions of Muslims, and now they've got disaster of unprecedented proportion. Why don't we wise up now? Not after the problem starts. Now! Not when it reaches crisis proportion, but now. Follow Donald Trump's recommendation. Stop Muslim immigration into the United States. Send out the illegals. Let's see where we are. Let's see how to go forward. But just to let them through the gates and into the country, my friends, is national suicide. We'll be back.
Bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's master. Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider said, officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies reminds everyone the chance of involvement in an auto accident rises dramatically with the consumption of alcohol or use of drugs. Please think before you drive. Don't let drugs or alcohol ruin your life or take the lives of others. You are responsible for your own safety as well as the safety of those around you. This message from Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies. For information on their services, call 970-484-7981.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Welcome back to Riell Truth. My friends, journalists come in all varieties. Fox News happens to have more good, objective, fair, and balanced journalists than all the other stations. Not everyone on Fox is great. One of the people who is fair and balanced and objective is Maria Bartiromo. Here she is interviewing a guy by the name of Trump.
Another thing, as long as I'm on your show, because a lot of my friends are watching your show nowadays, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you so much, Donald.
But Maria, as long as I'm on your show, there was another thing that was said. Bonds. Now, nobody knows more about debt. I'm like the king. I love debt. I love
You
debt.
call
I love
yourself the king of debt, and people are like, that's not a good thing, Donald
No,
Trump.
it's a good thing. Because I know how to handle debt better than anybody. I've made a lot of money with debt, okay? But during the course of the conversation, I said, no, I'd love to buy back the debt at a discount. I'd like to buy back bonds at a discount. And, you could do that. If interest rates go up, we'll have a chance to buy back debt. That's what I'm talking about. So now, a lot of the papers said, Donald Trump wants to go and start negotiating with creditors. First of all, you don't have to think about this, but we print the money, so you're never going to have that kind of a... But with the United States government, if we can buy back bonds at a discount, that's a wonderful thing. I love to buy back at a discount, but if interest rates go up, you'll be given that opportunity because bonds will go down, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I was talking about. So now they have it that Donald Trump wants to go out and he wants to renegotiate bonds and he wants to default on bonds and he wants to buy them back at a discount. Well, that's great for private business, but it's certainly not good for the United States government. And I never said that. All I said is that if interest rates go up, we'll have a chance to buy back bonds at a discount, which is standard.
Okay.
But certainly I'm not talking about renegotiating with creditors.
All right, but you could look at the debt and rework the debt, but don't you have to slow entitlement growth? I mean, isn't that where much of the spending is? I haven't heard you talk...
You have to do waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's tremendous.
So are you going to change the entitlement? I'm talking Social Security.
Right.
Yeah, Medicare.
No, but you have to do the waste, fraud, and abuse. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse, but I'm leaving it the way it is. I'm going to bring jobs back to the country. We're going to make our country rich again. Our country's not rich. Look, GDP, you reported, or I watched you recently, I guess it's practically zero.
Up 0.5%. Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
We're practically at zero. And probably if they report that number, the number's worse, because when they put it out, they're trying to put a good spin. So in my opinion, that means we're below zero. If that had happened to China, it would be a massive... if they go to 7% or 8%, you read they're going down the tubes almost. We're at zero. And I think getting worse, if you want to know the truth.
But, I mean, in terms of... So you're not going to touch the entitlements right now. You're going to just bring jobs back, and that moves the needle on growth.
We're going to do a lot in terms of waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, there's tremendous money there. But we're going to bring jobs back. We're going to get the economy going. And we'll be able to afford it, Maria.
What about the minimum wage, Donald? You said you can't imagine how anybody could live on $7.25.
On the minimum wage, I would like to leave it to the states because, frankly, every state is different. Every state has different costs of living and everything else. And I would like to leave it to the states. But I will tell you, $7.25 is pretty tough. And as far as I'm concerned, I could see something happening there. But I would leave it to the states because you know what? The states have to compete with each other. They have to compete with outside, interest, and I would leave minimum, and it's happening anyway because states like in New York, they raised it. But I would leave the minimum wage to the states.
So do you see that as sort of the template? Should most states go to 15? I mean, you've got it in New York, you've also got it in California.
No, but states are different. I mean, in New York it's very expensive to live. In other states it's not expensive at all. I mean, by comparison to New York.
That makes sense.
New York would probably be the most expensive in terms of living. So I would, to any critic that says I want to raise it, not that I want to raise it, and I'd like to I think something should happen. $7.25 is not good. What I would do is I would leave it to the states because every region is different. Every state is different. I mean, you go from New York to other places, and it costs you so much less to live.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You make a great point. Okay. Everybody has a different mentality, different cost of living. That's absolutely right.
Much different.
Donald, what about you, Vice President?
I have people that work for me in different locations throughout the country, and I pay them for the same job, much less, and they have a better lifestyle than they have in New York.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. Real quick now, before you go, your vice presidential pick, I know you're going to announce it at the convention. Characteristics that you're looking for, you said military mojo or foreign policy mojo. You said Washington experience.
I do like military mojo because our military is being decimated and we're not doing well, and we're listening to guys like Lindsey Graham that don't know what they're doing, frankly, and we'll be fighting ISIS forever. You listen to these guys. No, I like the concept of military, but I think probably political because we're going to have a lot of legislation that I want to pass without necessarily signing executive orders like Obama does every day.
Right.
We're going to have a lot of legislation, so I like the idea of somebody that can help politically. I have a number of people that I really, really like, but I won't be discussing it until right now. I mean, look, we came out a little bit earlier, Maria, than we thought. We thought we'd be going to June 7th or June 8th or maybe even up to the convention. I never did. I knew we had all the delegates we needed. I was sure of it.
Right.
But, and then all of a sudden, we won Indiana massively. And because of that was a massive win. And so was New York and so many other states, Pennsylvania. But we won it massively and everybody dropped out. So I didn't think I'd be sitting here watching Hillary, who cannot close the deal. See, Trump gets the deal closed, from the business standpoint. We get the deal closed. Hillary has not been able to close the deal. But it was supposed to be the other way around. She was supposed to be watching us fight it out for the next 2 months. And
Right.
so I got a little bit of a pleasant surprise. But we have some great vice presidential people that will be, I think they'll be fantastic.
Well, we'll see. And you're right. They may have a contested convention. Donald, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks.
I like Maria Bartiromo. She's used to talking about money, and when you talk about money, you've got to be exact. There's no room for spin or propaganda there. Item. From the Washington Post, near the beginning of a recent interview, an FBI investigator broached the topic with longtime Hillary Clinton aide Cheryl Mills that her lawyer in the Justice Department had agreed would be off limits, according to several people familiar with the matter. Mills and her lawyer left the room, though both returned a short time later, and prosecutors were somewhat taken aback that their FBI colleague had ventured beyond what was anticipated, the people said. Investigators consider Mills, who served as chief of staff while Clinton was Secretary of State, to be a cooperative witness. But the episode demonstrates some of the tension surrounding the criminal probe and the possible mishandling of classified information involving the leading Democratic presidential candidate. In the coming weeks, prosecutors and FBI agents hope to be able to interview Clinton herself as they work to bring the case to a close. Stop! In the name of God, what is happening? You've got major crimes that have probably been committed. They bring Cheryl Mills in, what? With an agreement that they won't talk about certain topics? What the hell is that? My friends, if you got arrested for pocketing a Snickers bar in a C-store, and they took you down to the jail cell, would you be able to say, look, I'll talk to you about what happened, but I'm not going to talk about anything in my pockets, and I'm not going to talk about what I did between the time I entered and left the C-store? Would you agree to that? Would you want police to agree to that? Well, this is a little bit more important than a Snickers bar. So they give Cheryl Mills their word that they won't ask about certain things. They allow her to get up and leave in the middle. What's going on here? Where's justice? Where's reality? Where's a sincere desire to get to the perpetrator of a crime? This is the very worst of America. The fact that there are at least two levels of justice. One for us and one for the elites. I want to see Cheryl Mills down on her knees speaking the truth under oath. And then Hillary Clinton. What was it that said here? They've invited Hillary Clinton. They hope to be able to interview Hillary Clinton. How about you grab Hillary by the scruff of the neck and drag her in to be interviewed? Hope to interview her? This is the worst of America. Item from Breitbart. Nearly 1 in 6 young men between the ages of 18 to 34 in the United States were either jobless or incarcerated in 2014, according to a new government report. It details a striking amount of male alienation that's been going on the rise since the 1980s. According to the Congressional Budget Office, out of the 38 million young men in the U.S. in 2014, 16% were jobless or incarcerated. The share of young men without a job or in prison has increased substantially since 1980, when just 11% of the young men fit into either category. My friends, this is the damage. No, I can come up with a better word than that. This is the terrorism that the Democrats have perpetrated on the United States of America, from the White House to Secretary of State down, intentionally crippling the economy of the United States, at the same time sending out liberal messages that say, do whatever the hell you want. And this is the nexus, right here. Unbelievable statistic for the United States of America. Item from Pat Buchanan, writing at WorldNet Daily. 48 hours after Donald Trump wrapped up the Republican nomination with a smashing victory in the Indiana primary, House Speaker Paul Ryan announced he could not yet support Trump. In Millennial Teen Talk, Ryan told CNN's Jake Tapper, quote, "I'm just not ready to do that at this point. I'm not there right now." The bulk of the burden of unifying the party falls on Trump, added Ryan. Trump must unify all wings of the Republican Party and the conservative movement. Trump must run a campaign that we can be proud to support and be proud to be a part of. Then, maybe, our Hamlet of the House can be persuaded to support the elected nominee of his own party. Excuse me, but upon what meat has this our Caesar fed? Ryan is a congressman from Wisconsin. He's never won a statewide election. As number 2 on Mitt Romney's ticket, he got waxed by Joe Biden. He was compromise choice as Speaker only after John Boehner went into his Brer Rabbit zippity-doo-dah routine. Who made Ryan the conscience of conservatism? Unquote. As Pat Buchanan has explained, Paul Ryan really isn't very much of anything. Hasn't done much, hasn't accomplished much, and yet he wants to grab the brass ring one day and be president. Mr. Ryan, you won't. You won't. Not when you obviously have nothing but disdain for the will of the American people. Trump is the guy that millions of Americans, more GOP voters than ever voted in a primary season before, already, and we're not done with the primaries, more voted for him than anyone else. So, Mr. Ryan, you can shut up and get out of here. Nobody wants you anymore. Governor Palin was right. Resign your position. Give up. Go to work in a mall somewhere. Go to work handing out leaflets on the sidewalk. People who need the voters shouldn't spit on the voters. Item from Reuters, a Muslim student will not be allowed to wear a hijab with her uniform at the Citadel Military College in South Carolina should she decide to enroll this fall, the school's president said on Tuesday. Lieutenant General John Rosa, the president, said the public military college recognized the importance of individual religious beliefs but could not grant the exception to the standardized uniform considered essential to its learning goals. Uniformity is the cornerstone of this 4-year leader development model, Rosa said in a statement. This process reflects an initial relinquishing of self during which cadets learn the value of teamwork to function as a single unit, unquote, which is exactly what Muslims cannot do. They are prevented from being part of a single unit that is not Islam. Their faith prevents it. That's only the second most bothersome thing about this news item. The whole question about whether or not a Muslim student at the Citadel can wear a hijab is totally beside the point. The question we should be debating is, should there be Muslims in America? Item from Reuters. Hedge funds lost money for their investors last year, but the industry's top-paid managers had a banner year, with 5 men earning more than $1 billion each in 2015. An industry survey released on Tuesday showed. Together, the 25 best-paid hedge fund managers took home $13 billion, 10% more than the previous year. Stop! My friends, I am all about free market, and I am all about capitalism. But something is way out of whack here. When 25 men earn $13 billion basically by taking traces of light on their computer screens and sending them here and there. $13 billion. It's capitalism, but it's an abuse of capitalism. We'll be right back.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the point of people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's service?
not the people's master. Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider says officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves.
This is what I call helpfulness. When there was a fire in our house, our Amiga rep was there for us. Practically became part of the family.
Call now for a free auto, home, or life insurance quote. This is helpfulness. Insured.
Now by the Trump campaign national spokesperson, Katrina Pearson. Katrina, thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Cameron.
Let's talk about Donald now by
Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities as modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our evening.
Well, this is what I call helpfulness.
You call for a quote?
Hi guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell behind the microphone. You know, I got to tell you something funny. One of the people I'm enjoying listening to the most, not a politician, not a TV pundit. She is Katrina Pearson. She's the official spokesperson for Donald Trump. Now, he must have chosen a woman to be his official spokesperson because he hates women, right? That makes sense, right? Doesn't respect them, right? Anyway, here's Katrina Pearson being interviewed on PMS NBC.
Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Cameron.
Let's talk about Donald Trump's uphill battle to unite the party. You heard Peter Alexander mention Lindsey Graham's tweet. He says, if we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed, and we deserve it. Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse pointed to his Facebook post in February. He says, if Donald Trump becomes the Republican nominee, my expectation is that I will look for some third-party candidate, a conservative option, a constitutionalist. Former advisor to John McCain, Mark Salter, wrote, the GOP is going to nominate for president a guy who reads the National Enquirer and thinks it's on the level. I'm with her. Clearly a reference to the slogan for Hillary Clinton. BuzzFeed, just one more for you, compiled several images tweeted out from Republican voters tearing up, burning, or destroying their voter registration cards in reaction to what happened last night.
Well, you know, Tamron, emotions are definitely high. Yes, this was a very contentious primary. But at the end of the day, there will be an opponent, and her name is Hillary Clinton. And even though these Republicans say they won't support Donald Trump, we ran into this 2 cycles ago. These same Republicans who were pushing the constitutional conservative message which really hasn't been viable since 1989 when the party stopped governing that way. Bush number one raised taxes, gave us the Clean Air Act of 1990, created NAFTA that Bill Clinton ultimately signed. Bush number two did worse. He gave us No Child Left Behind, the Wall Street bailouts, eviscerated the Constitution with the Patriot Act. These are also not extremely conservative issues, but the party came together behind them. I didn't want to vote for McCain, and his conservative review scorecard is an F, and not just any F, but a 37%. At the end of the day, when the contrast is made, if a Republican wants to stop Hillary Clinton, they will support Donald Trump.
Well, looking at what Donald Trump said yesterday regarding not wanting the support of some within the party, he said that they've been nasty. To be clear, just a few hours before calling Ted Cruz a formidable contender or a good campaigner, he tried to link Ted Cruz's father to the assassination of JFK. Fast forward, it's as if none of that happened. Donald Trump, has been accused, and there is plenty of proof of providing some of the nastiest allegations in presidential history, some have said. So when he refers to those who've been nasty to him, that he does not want their support, can you tell me some of those that he's referencing?
Well, I think in the context of the JFK, Donald Trump was pointing out the absurdities because there wasn't a replay of all of the absurdities that were said leading up to that context, like Senator Ted Cruz being anointed as the chosen one, a Baptist who was brought onto the earth to fulfill the Mormon prophecy. Of course, there have been a lot of absurdities out there, and he was pointing to those things. But I'll also say that there are going to be some of those people who aren't very principled when it comes to defeating Hillary Clinton. It's about themselves. We have think tanks in Washington, D.C. who make a living at philosophy of conservatism. But as I've mentioned, the candidates nominated in 2 cycles prior were not conservatives, and everyone got around them.
So Donald Trump is embracing that he's not a conservative. At this point, he's embracing that he is not a conservative.
No, what I'm saying is that they're saying he's not a conservative. At the same time, they embraced candidates who were not conservative. So the argument is going to fail. And when they do see that contrast compared to Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump is a conservative, particularly when it comes to jobs in the economy, which is where a lot of conservatives are. They're going to come around. And to those individuals who don't want to support Donald Trump, never had any intention of supporting Donald Trump, there are Republicans out there who would rather keep things the same because they do belong to a lot of those special interests that Donald Trump is a great threat to.
Let's look at just a few of the names out there. Has the Trump campaign reached out to Jeb Bush for his support?
You know, I'm not sure if Mr. Trump has reached out to anyone at this point. There are a lot of people reaching out to the campaign.
Well, we know he's reached out to Ben Carson. We know he has the support of Chris Christie, for example. And he says that he'd be willing and wanting the support of Senator Cruz. So what about some of the other big names that he defeated that he may need to bring in to unite the party? Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush come to mind.
Well, you're absolutely right. Ben Carson and Chris Christie did reach out to Mr. Trump, and they told him that they see the movement that he has, the ability to bring in new voters, which is extremely important. But Mr. Trump is going to consider everyone. He does want people to reach out to him. He's going to reach out to other people. This just happened last night. Let's give it a week for the dust to settle so that Mr. Trump can get used to being the GOP nominee, start thinking about these vice presidential picks, and he is going to unite the party.
But when you say the dust perhaps will settle, there is a lot of dust that he kicked up in the air. Let's just look at the numbers. He has
Let's not. This news, I won't use the word whore, but this news idiot, if you'll notice what she's doing, she's asking some questions, but mainly she's slandering Donald Trump. Remember, this is MSNBC, where they think of Donald Trump like poison ivy, because Trump is for America and Americans, and MSNBC is for the corporation that owns it. So this chick's job is to do a hit piece, to throw as much mud out there as possible, aimed at Donald Trump through his spokesperson, Katrina Pearson. Fortunately, Katrina has 70, maybe 80 IQ points on this news chick. And anything she's saying, she's batting away like a fly buzzing around her. But note this. Note the dishonesty of the media. Note the bias of the media. MSNBC is Democrats all the way, and anyone who became the Republican nominee would be subjected to this kind of attack. Now, I'll tell you, I've been listening to the news, my friends. There is a group out there that exists, not one group, several groups, PACs, that exist solely to serve as the attack dogs for Hillary Clinton, leaving Hillary free to allegedly take the high road. Oh, she's not engaging in any ad hominem attacks. But she's orchestrating attack groups that are doing that. So she's phony and a liar yet again. And think about it. Donald Trump has absolutely dominated this election year, despite the Democratic Party being against him, despite almost the entire Republican Party being against him, and despite almost all of the media being against him. He's basically moved heaven and earth, and he's won. And he's winning. And he'll go on winning, and all the media whores in America aren't going to be able to stop him because the people know the truth. Item from conservativetribune.com. Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has been receiving something shocking from employees of the Justice Department, and it revealed a disturbing side of Washington politics. According to the Washington Free Beacon, Clinton has received nearly $75,000 in political contributions from the federal agency's employees. Keep in mind, this is an agency that would decide whether or not to act if the FBI recommended that charges be brought against Clinton or her aides after investigating the matter of her private email server. Unquote. So people who man the Justice Department have donated $75 large to Hillary Clinton. So tell me, exactly how much unbiased justice are we going to be getting out of the Justice Department? That's Clinton's America. We'll be back.